Mr. Perry was never to be alone with his child. Never. He was always to remain with the eyesight of a co-worker.
Police, open up!
Welcome to Chevy Investigates and Opinionates. Hello, my name is Chevy, and this is Pawleys Island Community Church, who's been now proclaimed infamous in the region for allowing a convicted predator to work with their children. Oh, this isn't just a church, but they have a daycare and an academy associated with it. So let's talk about the bus. This is PICC Part 2, Busted. I'm reading from a Facebook post by Aubrey White. I want to thank you for your coverage of this crime. Pastor Don Williams and his wife Jenny Williams resigned Friday from Pawleys Island Community Church in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, ending a 27-year tenure at the church. The resignations came the same day parents filed a $25 million class action lawsuit against the church and its school, Pawleys Island Christian Academy. Academy Director Nikki Howard also resigned, along with several church elders. In an email obtained by WMBF News, the church told staff it had accepted the resignations effective immediately, acknowledging what it called decisions that have called into question the integrity of our church and its leaderships, and describing the moment as a season of crisis. In a personal message attached to that email, Williams wrote that resigning was necessary so the church could begin healing and moving forward, and said staff had been unfairly caught in the crossfire of this past week. The man at the center of the scandal is Warren Perry, 70, of Murrells Inlet. Perry was arrested in 2020 after investigators searching his home found child material. In 2023, he pled guilty to third-degree exploitation of a minor. Despite that conviction, Perry served as a volunteer custodian on the church campus, which operates both a nursery and a Pawleys Island Christian Academy, a school for children. Allegations broke. Williams told members directly that Perry's conviction had been known within the church leadership for years. His exact words, according to reporting from WPDE, were, quote, "Mr. Perry's conviction was known to me, to several leaders within our church, to the church staff, and to leadership of the PICC," end quote. Williams also said authorities were aware that Perry was volunteering on the campus and that the church had put restrictions in place. Is the pastor's own admission on record in front of the congregation. Those restrictions did not hold. A statement from the South Carolina Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services confirmed that Perry had been explicitly instructed during a regular agent supervision meeting not to engage in direct contact with minors while performing his volunteer duties. On July 13th, the agency received a call from the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office reporting a parent complaint that Perry had been seen at Pawleys Island Christian Academy. The agency's statement says it swiftly investigated and arrested Perry for giving his agent untruthful reports and for failing to refrain from contact with minor. The department also confirmed that Perry had been approved to work at the church in part because the character witness statements provided by Pastor Don Williams himself. The class action lawsuit filed Friday in Georgetown County Common Pleas Court on behalf of the parents identified as John and Jane Doe seeks more than $25 million in actual punitive damage. It alleges the church school negligently hired and retained a known S offender, failed to properly screen him, failed to notify parents of his history, and allowed access to children, breached fiduciary duties owed to family. The lawsuit further alleges that when parents confronted the church and school leadership about Perry's presence, they were met with biblical justifications rather than accountability. This is not the first time the church has faced this kind of accusation. Public record shows the 2005 negligence lawsuit accused the church and Williams of failing to protect a minor, a pattern that predates the current case by 2 decades. Oh, there's also a personal thread tying the resigned pastor's household directly to the offender. WMBF News reported that in April of this year, Perry named Jenny Williams, the pastor's wife and the church's former guest services director, his power of attorney. This is not an incidental connection. This is a formal legal relationship between the family running the church and the convicted predator they were supervising.
Don Williams, his wife Ginny, Howard, and Perry were arrested following an investigation into how Perry, a convicted sex offender, was allowed to volunteer at the church despite a daycare and school operating on the property. Perry remains in custody at the Georgetown County Detention Center after a judge denied him bond on Tuesday. Don, Ginny, and Howard all posted bond and were released from custody.
A second arrest and a new charge have been filed in the case tied to allegations that the leaders at Pawleys Island Community Church and Christian Academy allowed a registered sex offender to volunteer around children. Yes, Jenny was arrested again, booked again by the Georgetown County Jail Friday morning, this time on a charge of unlawful neglect of a child by a legal guardian. She appeared before a judge in Georgetown and, of course, was released on bond.
At the hearing, Ginny Williams' attorney told the judge she had never been involved in anything like this before and described her as a wife, mother, and grandmother. The attorney argued for bond, saying, "We were trying to do it the first time. She's not a risk. Your Honor, clearly she turned herself in. She has no record. Your Honor, she has a bondsman already. She has an attorney that's cooperating with law enforcement. Despite her safety being there, this is a Sunday school teacher." The Georgetown County Sheriff's Office said the new charge stems from investigative findings that were not verified before Ginny Williams' initial arrest Monday. Investigators said the new charge was filed based on witness statements gathered this week.
And Pawleys Island Christian Academy, shortly after his arrest in 2020, not after his disposition in 23, but he came to what anybody would call employed in 2020 after his arrest, his role being that of maintenance. Now let's go over the role of other folks involved in this case. Don Williams. Don Williams is the past pastor and owner-operator of Pawleys Island Community Church and Pawleys Island Christian Academy. Jenny Williams is the wife to Pastor Don Williams. She is also found in the hierarchy line of decision-making, not only for the church, but the school, and she's paid by the church for her services daily. Nikki Howard. She is the director of the Pawleys Island Christian Academy. Our investigation began last week in statements from teachers, parents, church members, and officials associated with the church and PICA, Pawleys Island Christian Academy. A review of records obtained through search warrants, that's been done since last week. A review of recorded statements given by then pastor last Tuesday after Warren's role at the school was challenged.
Yesterday and today. He will go to bond court.
What complaints have you received that he was in violation of his?
He's had contact with minors. He's not allowed to have contact with minors.
You can define contact with minors.
Going in classrooms, like he can't be in the same room with minors.
Okay. If he ever was, he always left. I mean, he was not going into classrooms with minors.
Right. So he'll go to an administrative hearing on July 29th, and I'm pretty positive he wants you to be present to speak on his behalf. Because it's been brought to our attention, not only by the sheriff's office, but by some community members, we had to address it today. So he's going to go to the jail. He'll go to bond.
So
he'll go to bond,
what we
get
see
out.
is a church and school torn apart, a lying pastor, repeat offenders, the lies, the lies, the lies. It's hard to deny photographs, though, Don, and there's plenty of those with your perpetrator, with the children who were trusted to you. Oh, yeah. Did you forget about that? He didn't always leave. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, share. Don't stop talking. Don't stop talking. Let's cancel cover-up culture in the church. Thank you so much. I love you, and I'll be back with more information.